Let's talk about cash is king. Everybody's heard this phrase. Nobody knows what the hell it is. All right, so let's talk about debt. When I started out my business, I was 15, going on 16, had some cash, saved up some cash by working at McDonald's, met my first employee at McDonald's, and we used to crush it. He did the cash window. I did the food window. The food always takes longer than the cash does. So when the hot girls used to come by in the BMWs, because we worked at the beach McDonald's, okay, because we're not fools, all right? It was the only place you could work when you were 14. So we're 14, Justin's 15, he's working the cash window because he's super fast on a computer. I'm like computer illiterate. Like this is like 2003. I don't know what the hell is going on with computers. I'm stacking paychecks at McDonald's, I'm mowing lawns. I should have just been, honestly, if you're 14, 12, whatever, I should have got a rider lawnmower at Home Depot, gotten a little trailer for that thing for like $1,200 and just been hitting the 400 houses that were a mile from my house. You know what I'm saying? Like how many does it take? Like 10, 20, like $30 a week for lawn care, $20 a week for lawn care. I mean, you guys do the math. I would have been making a lot more money. But anyway, I was eager to get a job. So I was at McDonald's saving up cash. I leave there at 15 and a half. So I'm chilling there. And I'm stacking cash, and I start my first business. I have $8.5 grand. Start my first business. I get a truck at 15 and a half, think I'm a badass. I blow the engine in that. My dad comes home. He tries to move it out of the driveway. He's like, how come your truck's running like shit? I'm like, while you were gone at work, I was running that shit around town, and yeah, I blew that shit up. And so, anyway, he's pissed. I have to buy a new engine. I have to learn how to put an engine in a truck. I put the engine in a truck. I got like $500 left. I did buy a cash X Mark 36, and you start out with that thing, and then I move into some paid-for diesel truck or diesel, mowers. I just build that thing up. But when you're under 18, you don't have the ability to get cash, right? Or you don't have the ability to get debt. Let me put it like that. Everything you're doing is in cash, everything. However, the nice thing about buying assets for cash is that they are harder to trade. You have to sell them if you want to flip them into new things. But it's a store of value. So what I mean by store of value is it's like having, if you have a paid off mower and it's worth $5 grand, it's like having four grand in cash immediately, or $5 grand in stocks. Kind of goes up and down depending on what your holding period is, if you can afford to hold the asset. I don't want to go too much. I don't want to dive into that rabbit path too much. But the point being is your fixed costs are very, very low. And I had some shitty-ass mowers. I mean, I had some shitty mowers, but they had Kubota 21s in them, and they ran, and the water pumps blew on them, and they still ran. They overheated every day, and they still ran. I just ran them with bad gauge. Like, the gauges were off the charts. And I was like, you know what? Let's just figure out. This mower doesn't owe me anything. Like, it's made its money 10 times over. Let's just see how long it takes to blow this bitch up. What I want to do is I want to talk about the pros and cons of using debt. So as I got older, I had the ability to build a credit score. I went and I got a finance degree. I read a book called Debt. That's the name of the book, months ago. And his opinion was that currency was actually developed to keep track of debts, because debts have always been a part of human history. You have debts to your parents. Maybe your children have debts to you, right? Maybe your brothers and sisters have debts to you. Maybe you're like, you bailed your bro out at one point. You was in a tight spot. You bailed him out. Maybe it's a financial debt. Maybe it's just hey, man, you came and fixed my flat tire. I owe you one. But either way, human beings trade, right? We trade. We trade information. We trade all sorts of stuff. And so this guy's opinion was that currency was made to keep track of debts. Now, we live in a modern currency that runs on debt. And so basically we run on IOUs. So when we don't have something in our country, we just say we do, and we just say, yo, we got you. We'll get you next year, and like just give me the value now. Now that's a really cool concept, because you can get physical hard metal for a signature. That's wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild shit. And I've been through all the Dave Ramsey stuff. I've explored all this stuff, and I'm not 100% anti-using debt. But if you're going to use debt, you have to understand debt, and you have to understand the game of debt. So my dad always says, if you're going to live by the sword, you have to understand you're going to die by the sword. And that's cool, as long as you're about living by the sword. I'm romantic about it, so I'm like, yo, I'm about dying by the sword. That sounds good to me. And like, my dad is like, yo, I don't want any problems. Like, I don't want a sword because I don't want to die by the sword. I'm just trying not to have any problems. Here's the thing with debt, is that debt is leverage. So that means that, and we're going to use it for, like, I'm going to use a Bobcat example. What's wild about Bobcats is they're about $50,000 new, $60,000 with options. They used to be about $45,000, and now they have new terms where it's 0 down, 0%, but they charge you 50 or 60 for it, so it's not really 0 down, 0%. But the point here being is that when you have debt in your business, you introduce fixed costs, right? And so when you introduce fixed costs, you introduce some sort of upped game in the rat race, right? Some sort of, yo, it's Monday morning, the sun's up, like, your butt better be getting out of bed. Now, the ultimate luxury where everyone wants to be retired with passive income coming in. Everybody wants to do that. And I believe that you can do that. I believe you can do that in 60 months of bust-ass time. A lot of you guys can bust that ass. And I think that if you're smart and you plan your stuff out, I think you can beat the rat race in 60 months. Now, I haven't done it myself, so in 60 months I'm going to tell you if it's possible or not, but I think it can be done. I think the tiny house thing, I think these, like, screw living in a tiny house, rent these things on Airbnb. Like, I live next to the beach. If I put a couple of these on some beach property, like if I rent some beach property and put like 6 of these out there, I'm going to be collecting $300 a night. They're like hotel rooms, and they cost 15 grand. So you guys do the math what the ROI is on that. It's pretty ridiculous. But the point here is that when you introduce fixed costs into your business, you introduce this hustle factor, and then you introduce this inability to reinvest in good opportunities. So when people say cash is king, like the other day I was at Home Depot, I literally just bought $40 of wood and got 8 2x4s. Got 8 2x4s. And then this guy shows up with 3 times as many 2x4s from the Christmas tree stand, from, like, you know, they just got done with their Christmas tree sale. His $150 in wood, right? And so cash in that case, it was super king because it was immediate. I had it in my pocket. Now, there's some days I don't have $15 in my pocket because I'm a debit card, credit card, check writing mofo, right? However, recently, I'm all cash. I'm pretty much mostly cash because it actually helps me out. Now, stress does go up with the signature. So when you get into a Bobcat situation, right, there's a honeymoon phase where things are good, man. Things are really good. I get a lot of snaps from people buying new watches, buying new trucks, buying new whatever, right? And I get it because they're in the honeymoon phase. And then the honeymoon phase comes out of warranty, and then you get in the hard badass phase, and then you get in the wealthy phase. So let me talk to you about the cycle of debt, right? This is the cycle of debt. You get debt, 0 down, 0 interest, whatever. The point is that you get real shit today with a signature. That's cool. In landscaping, in contracting, this is a capital-intensive business. That sucks. It sucks because capital-intense businesses, they're just hard, man. It's not like you guys are building software or you're selling information or whatever. Like, if you want to move dirt, you need metal, and you need diesel fuel, and you need oil, and you need grease. And that's just what it is, all right? And, like, or you need some freaking donkeys and horses, and that's going to be even way more expensive. Leverage just means that you put 1 input in and you get 10 inputs out, up or down. It's like a seesaw. So you get a 0 down Bobcat. Let's just say you buy a $50,000 Bobcat and they tell you you need 10% down, so you need $5,000. So you put $5,000 on it, it's $1,000 a month. These numbers are pretty accurate. I went and I mystery shopped a couple dealers this summer for, like, consulting work, and, like, this is pretty accurate numbers. So you put 10% down, you got $1,000 a month payment. It's on a 5-year note, right? So 5-year debt note. That means for 60 months you're going to be paying that thing. Now, you got a warranty, full bumper-to-bumper warranty. Anything on that thing breaks, it's not wear and tear, for 12 months. So inside of that 12 months, you gave him $5,000, you're paying him $1,000, and you're billing maybe 6, 10, 15 grand a month doing what you do. If you know what you're doing with that particular piece of equipment, it could be a truck, it could be a Bobcat, it could be a lawnmower, right? So you're off to the races, and you're doing pretty well. That first month, you make let's just say it's Bobcat. You don't really know what you're doing with Bobcatting. Like, I'm at the point with Bobcatting where, like, I know how to make 10, 15 grand a month in revenue per machine. When I started, I knew how to make like 2 or 3, and my payment was $1,000. When I really started, when I really, really started, I didn't have a payment at all because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I bought cash machines. Like everything I did was cash. And they got old. And I don't want to digress too much into that. But you get in this honeymoon phase. And then your warranties, they kind of, the 12 bumper to bumper kind of goes down, kind of goes away. And then you get out of your 3-year, like OG's about to come out of her 3-year in like a month or two, right? So she's going to come out of her 3-year. And then you owe on the machine kind of what the machine is worth. So with a capital intensive business, I want to talk about the back end. So you've got the beginning honeymoon cycle. You're making $3,000 a month. The payment's $1,000. You're making $2,000. You're like, hell yeah. You put in $5,000. Remember, you put in $5,000. So on month 3, you've technically made $6,000. So on month 3, you've made your $5,000 back and put $1,000 in your bank account. So your $5,000 went out. Those little troops, they marched out. And they went out and they brought home another 1,000 troops. And you put them troops right on back in the bank account, right? And now you've got this asset sitting up on your front lines. And that thing's $1,000 a month, and you know how to make it make 3. Maybe you buy some of my courses and you figure out, oh, you can make it 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever, right? The machine course is going to freaking crush it. But like, you figure out how to make cash. So now you've got somebody else's money making you cash. This is totally cool. You're up here. You're up here. Now what happens is those things need tracks, $3,000. They need things that are out of warranty, another $2,000, $3,000. They need drive motors that are out of warranty, another $3,000. Now you've got a $1,000 a month payment, and you've got maybe a $4,000 repair bill. So that happens. So you get into this point, let's call it month 36. So you're 3 years into your marriage with Bobcat, your debt provider, right? They're your bank. You don't really care about Bank of America. You don't care about BB&T or Chase Bank or anyone like that, because as long as you have Bobcat, or you have Caterpillar, you have Kubota, those are banks. And those banks give you physical metal. And if you're in this industry, physical metal is worth more than BB&T's American dollars oftentimes. You know what I mean? So now you're at this point where you've got this cash flow crunch, where you've got $3,000 repair bill, you got a $1,000 a month payment, you're making $3,000. You go negative your first month, and you're like, uh-oh, right? And the thing is for the next year and a half, 2 years, what you owe on the machine and what the machine is worth are going to be even. It's designed like this by the debt creators. It's designed like this. So you're going to be at the plateau point, and everything has a plateau point. What you want to do is figure out a way to get on that back end. So once you get on the back end, you own more of the machine than you owe on the machine. The catch is if you have a bad month or a bad 2 or 3 months or a bad quarter or something bad happens to you or you're not able to work it, that equity can go away because the debt collector, if you don't pay your mortgage, your bill, your payment, whatever, can come and get that machine. And they want to because you owe less than the machine is worth. And they have a right to come and take those machines if they want to, and they want to at that point. However, they don't want to if you owe them more than the machine is worth. They'd rather you continue, at least try to make your payments every other month if you can. And the interesting thing about debt is that's exactly how it works. You are really in the driver's seat. Now, the thing with it is, at the end of the debt cycle, the very end of the debt cycle, you're pretty much where you started.